This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store and William Hill. Delighted to be joined with John Ryder. We're at Matchroom HQ. We're in the back garden. There is a beautiful view behind us. We can see the skyline of the City of London. But I'm joined with John Ryder. How are we, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. It beats the outside of JD, doesn't it? It's like you said, the beautiful skyline. Bit murky today, so you can't really see it clearly. But yeah, better settings.
I was going to say, yeah, it definitely does beat the JD in Oxford Street. That was quite busy. But we'll go into yourself just after sort of reflecting on the Canelo fight. I know we did speak after that, but how's things? How you been keeping? Is it sort of how you dealing with not really having a date to work with after the Canelo fight?
It's quite nice. It's quite enjoyable. I've come here today. Normally I'm dieting. I can't really tuck into the food, so I've had a bit of food, a nice bit of lunch. So seen some familiar faces and just had to catch up. But I'm back in the gym. I'm back training. Back ticking over. Back pumping iron, back running, so I'm good to go whenever I get the call.
What was it like getting back into training after the Canelo fight? How was it sort of getting back into the swing of things? Was it quite a difficult thing to do?
It was. I had the longest layoff after a fight that I've ever done. I did nothing for like 8 weeks. But it was nice, it was needed. I think I've rushed back after fights too soon, and at the time it seemed right, but then no fights come around and just overtraining at times, so it's been nice just to concentrate on my partner and the kids and let them know their priority for once rather than boxing, and yeah, just ease up on boxing for a bit and just focus on life outside. But I'm back now. I'm fully focused on what's next and the potential fights I can have.
Being totally honest, was it hard initially to get back into the gym after the Canelo fight, because that's something you've worked for so long, and I know you train all your life, and you know, was it hard to sort of get motivated to get back to the gym after the Canelo fight, like the first initial weeks and days?
No, not really. I mean, I love being in the gym. I love being around Tony and the boys, and it's always a laugh. Obviously, the prospect of there not being any world titles to go for currently is a bit of a kick in the teeth. But listen, who knows? Canelo's fighting end of September, and could be a thing where he gives up potential titles or lets titles go, and they can become titles vacant. So it's worth sticking it out and fighting the top guys out there just for the potential of what could possibly be.
How frustrating is that you worked the position to become the WBO mandatory, now you haven't got that? Is it hard to work yourself back up again, do you think, and being a contender again?
Yeah, no, I think I'm still pretty highly ranked with a few of the governing bodies, so listen, there's still potential good fights out there for me, and listen, if a world title doesn't come along, there's still good fights there for me.
And you think, sort of looking in the future now, being honest, how long do you think you have left before, you know, the curtain closes?
Well, I'm the 35 now. I'll give myself another year. We could push it on to 2 years. We'll see it. It's fight by fight now.
And for yourself, when you look back on your career and when the sort of the curtain is closed and it's done, how sort of happy would you be, you know, within yourself that you pushed, and even after the knockdowns that you didn't give up? You think of sort of the Callum Smith fight and so many other ones that, you know, you really did push yourself to as far as you could be.
Yeah, no, I think looking back on my career, I think I'd be really pleased. Yeah, I think I've probably exceeded expectations of what people thought I could achieve in this sport, and having fought for the world title twice, should have won it once, just one of those things. But it's been a hell of a ride so far, and I hope it continues for another year or two at least.
I know it's hard to talk about, but how often would you say you think about the Callum Smith fight now, after that, where everyone thought you won, and how hard was that to deal with after it, and how much do you think about it much now?
I don't really think about it now, no. It's been and gone. It was obviously hard to think about in and around at the time because of lockdown and boxing not happening and being very quiet time for sport altogether, but I'm well past it now. I wish Callum and the Smith family nothing but good, and I hope he goes and does a number on Arthur Beterbiev and becomes a 2-weight world champion.
I was going to say there, especially when you talk about your career, the knockdowns you had to get to the position that you're in now, when you talk about that fight of being so close to a world title, when you compare motivations after sort of different losses that you might have had, after that one where you shouldn't have lost, How hard was that to motivate yourself to get back in, and how long did it take for you to really get back on the path in a way?
Do you know, it wasn't hard to motivate myself as such. It was just hard with the way things worked out. What with going into lockdown, it was that you'd fight for a WBA regular, and I think it was on the AJ card. It was meant to be at Spurs, and that was, I think, meant to be June time. But then obviously the country went into lockdown, and things just really, all plans got scuppered. Boxing was pretty much limited for 6 months of the year, and we didn't really get nothing. So it was just a time where we had to just put that to the side and just focus on life outside of boxing and just focus on yourself really.
And you look at now after the Canelo fight, after you've pushed yourself, how sort of good does it feel that you've made the most out of your career, you're secure now, and especially after your career, after sort of boxing is done, you know that you're secure. Is that a good feeling for you?
Yeah, great feeling. I mean, many people, if they had the luck I had, they would have packed it in. So I'm pleased with myself for sticking it out and going on, and obviously going to the heights that I dreamed of. There's still life in me yet, and I hope to stay at the level I've been operating.
After this fight, what is motivating you now? Is it still 100% world titles that you're motivated by?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the potential of big fights. I mean, I don't want to be in this for silly fights. I want to fight the best, and I'm blessed to be in a division 168 where there's great fights there for me. So I hope that I can get in line for one of these, and listen, end of this year, early next year, a big fight, and just get back to winning ways and keep going.
I think today it was talking about Golovkin potentially coming out for a sort of a farewell fight in Kazakhstan. Would you be willing to go to Kazakhstan to fight Golovkin?
Listen, if I'd go to Guadalajara to fight Canelo, I would definitely go to Kazakhstan to fight Golovkin. I'd go back to Mexico and fight Munguia. I'm no illusion that any of my next few fights will be in the UK, and if I've got to travel, then so be it.
100%. Well, last one from me. Obviously, last opponent Canelo. He's now facing Jermell Charlo. How do you think that fight goes, and what do you think of Charlo coming up 2 weights to fight Canelo at 168?
A good fight. I think Charlo's going to have a lot on his side. He's obviously the naturally bigger man. Obviously, being a 154 fighter, Canelo started at 147. So, listen, he's going to have the size advantage on his size. Obviously, Canelo's been operating at higher weights, but listen, I think Charlo, is going to have a great camp. He's just going to be able to enjoy his camp, taking the restrictions of diet and what on that away. So I think he's going to come out fresh as a daisy and put on a show.
John, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. And all the best in the future, mate. Good to catch up with you.